Hello, this is Claus Jensen presenting a game that I played almost 30 years ago, all the way back in 1982. The game was played in a team match between Alsund and Borg chess clubs. I was playing for Alsund chess club, and at the time of the game I was 17 years old and I was rated just around 1800. And at that time my game was more often than not sharp and highly tactical. And this game is a nice example of my playing style at that time. I was playing the white pieces and the game started e4, e5, and I played f4, the king's gambit. And I think if you like sharp tactical play, this is the opening to choose. My opponent played d5, Falkbeers counter gambit. I had played against this before, so I was not taken completely by surprise here. E takes d5, e4, knight c3, knight f6, d3, e takes d3, queen takes d3, bishop e7, bishop e2, castles, bishop d2, and at this point in the game my opponent decided that he wanted to exchange the light squared bishops, so he played bishop g4, which is in fact a very bad move, because what happens is that he gets a piece in front of my pawn chain, kingside pawns, and this is a very bad idea, as we shall see in the game. Bishop takes g4, knight takes g4, and then h3. And I can now start my kingside pawns with tempo, because this knight has to move away. Knight f6, I castled long, knight bd7, and the nice thing about the white position here is that the plan is very clear. Kingside attack, so I played g4, knight c5, queen f3, rook e8, and now came g5, and again we see that I can play this move with tempo, because again this knight has to move away. So having this knight in front of my kingside pawns has helped me launch my attack quicker than I would otherwise have been able to. Knight f to d7, knight g to e2, f6 is weakening the kingside position for my opponent, h4, and now he plays f5, trying to block my kingside pawn storm, but then I could play knight d4, which is eyeing both the e6 square and the f5 pawn. He defends his f5 pawn with g6, but then the most logical way to continue the attack for white is to open up the h file, so h5 is a very logical move here. King g7, and he plays king g7 because he wants a rook in the h file. But the problem is that now there's a possible knight fork on e6, attacking both the king and the queen. So I can simply play b4 in this position, attacking this knight on c5, and when it moves, for example, to a6, then the fork on e6 is in effect. So b4 is winning a piece for me, and my opponent plays king f7, moving away from the dangerous fork. I took on g6, opening up the h file, and in this position it's clear that I have a clearly won position already, and I could play for a very simple win by taking the knight on c5. Knight takes c5 and then play rook to h7, for example, and doubling rooks in the h file would lead to a very simple win for me. But the reason why I show this game is that it is a good example of my tactical awareness at this point. I played a move that I remember being very proud of at the time I played it, and I still think it's a very beautiful move. And not only the move itself, but also the following tactics are very nice. So in this position I play knight e6, and knight takes and d takes, and now the first point of the move is that king takes e6 would lead to a checkmate on d5. So my opponent has to move his king, and he moves to g7, and now we can see that this e6 pawn is extremely important because it controls the f7 square, which is leading to a lot of mating threats around the black king. And what I had planned when I played knight e6 was how to continue the attack here, because now I cannot hesitate, because then black would put a rook in the h-file, and it would be more difficult for me to continue the attack. But I had planned the very nice rook sack, rook h7 check. And after king takes h7, I could play queen h3 check, king g7, queen h3, h6 check, sorry, king g8 and rook h1, which was in fact not the quickest way to a mate, but it worked after bishop f6, queen h7, king f8 and queen f7 checkmate. In this position I could of course have played a quicker mate. I could have taken on g6 and then king h8 and then rook h1 checkmate. And other possibilities for my opponent was, in this position after queen h3 check, he could have played rook king g8, but then simply rook h1, and the threats on h7 and then f7 is deciding the game once again. So we see how important this f7 square is. This pawn is really dominating the black king and isolating him from getting any help. So I think it was a very nice tactical effort from me, and I think one of the lessons to learn from this game is that never ever bring your light pieces in front of an enemy pawn storm, because they will only help your opponent's attack, since you will have to move these pieces away every time they are attacked by the enemy pawns. I hope you enjoyed this old game of mine, and I hope to see you on my blog at klausjensen.com. Bye bye for now.